Chelsea. We're Arsenal forever. We are Arsenal. Run to Wembley. We love Arsenal.
Good evening, guys. Welcome to FTB Sports. I'm your host, Brezzy. I'm joined by King and Nigerian Englishman. We are doing the reaction show of Arsenal against Slavia Prague. And, wow, what a game it is. So I'll let King and Nigerian introduce themselves.
Yeah. Hi, the name's Chris. My surname's King. Yeah, so that's where the names come from. Yeah, I've been an Arsenal fan all my life. Yeah, through the highs and the lows. Yeah, and yeah, I live in London at the moment. Unfortunately, in Tottenham of all places. But yeah, you know, thanks for having me on, guys. You know, it's been you know, a pleasure, obviously, watching the stream so far, and yeah, I've been itching to get involved. So yeah, it's great to be on. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no worries. Nigerian?
No.
Mate, this team, yeah, this football team, yeah, that's what they're saying to me, because they don't love me no more, man. This is how they do me. But we're gonna get into that. First of all, it's me, the Nigerian Englishman. You can catch me on One Touch TV on YouTube. You can catch me on OneTouch_TV on Instagram. Big time Arsenal fan through the highs and the lows, the frustrating years. We had some good years, but it's been long since them times. And I'm just ready to get out of it, let a bit of steam off, because that game, anyway. Anyway, we'll get into it when we get into it. That's me.
Welcome, Mike.
Good evening. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I was okay up until about 8 o'clock.
I think we all. So
yeah.
we'll dive in. So we'll get into the game. So I'm gonna bring Nigerian into this. How do you feel the first half went?
Oh, mate. Okay, let's get into lineups first, because I was actually okay with the lineup and what I saw in terms of, like, I knew Cedric could have had to play because Tierney wasn't playing. Bellerin had to come back into the side because Cedric couldn't play right back. So little things I understood. But what I don't understand is, what has Martinelli done? Like, what's he done? Has he slept with Arteta's wife, or what's going on? Like, I don't get it. Like, because something drastic has to happen. For him, yeah, literally, because something big needs to have happened to allow him off not allow him off the leash. He's raring to go. You even see every time he comes on the pitch, he does something, he creates something. And since, like, you couldn't tell me that Willian has done enough, more than Martinelli, to rank a start in the side tonight, from what we've seen this season. Like, let's be fair. But in the game, I think we kind of controlled the first half. Like, we didn't really create much. It was another one of those Europa League ties where we were the nearly men. Like, we were on the verge of doing something, and then it broke down, or a good decision here, and a bad decision there. And other than the Saka chance, you know, like in the 6th minute or so, when Lacazette held it up well, put him through, I believe he should have at least got a shot off in that. I believe, like, he's good enough, and that's probably the little criticism I have of Saka, is he needs to be more clinical in front of goal. His decision making. He probably had the best 2 chances in the first half for us, and he made bad decisions. I think the second one might have been offside. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But yeah, the first half, it was quite controlled. We didn't really seem troubled. I don't know if you guys would agree.
I mean, no. I really agree. I mean, I think we pressed them quite high. I think we created enough chances. I just don't think we was. I just think it was clinical enough. We clearly lacked that cutting edge. And, you know, in the final third with Saka and, you know, Laka, you know, we had the kind of, you know, the best, you know, front four. And yet we still
couldn't Martinelli. Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Martinelli for me would always be in the start 11. The problem is that he did like you said, what does he need to do? You know, I just don't understand it. I'm gonna bring Mike into this.
All right. Well, I thought initially we weren't pressing high enough because they were playing it out from the back far too easily.
No pressure.
they played it out from the back right up until maybe 10 minutes to go. Where as soon as our subs made the impact, straight away, then that was when they started to kick it upfield. But up until then, and all of the first half, I felt they were just tapping about the back. They were quite happy with 80 minutes. They did the job they had to do. They came here and they kept the clean sheet when it was us that were wanting the clean sheet. And we didn't press high enough at all. And I thought, and that's where we were.
I agree with that.
We
didn't pressure them. We didn't make them feel uncomfortable at all in the first half. That's right. We had control of the game, but I just didn't think we did enough. Like we didn't. It's like we didn't want it enough. I don't get it, man.
They let us control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think.
Happy.
And I think overall, what I've really drummed home to a lot of people is, I think the main thing in the first half, it kind of typified our whole season where we just weren't moving the ball quickly enough. You know, too many players were taking too many touches. You know, like you think of the Arsenal of old, and it was like very kind of like 1-2 touch, very quick into the field,
proper fluid,
and there just wasn't that fluidity there. You know, like I think Saka had a clear-cut chance, and he was actually onside for it as well. The replay showed he was onside, so he should be taking chances like those. But he's young, man. He's a kid. He's going to make mistakes. You know, it is what it is. But I think that's what disappointed me a lot about the first half, and actually the first 70 minutes of the game. We just weren't moving the ball quickly enough until the changes were made. When you saw that difference.
Okay.
Would you agree? Sorry, Brezzy. Would you agree that he waited too long for the subs?
Absolutely.
70th minute. Like, why is he waiting to 20 minutes to go? I don't understand.
You're cutting to like half the show.
sorry, mate.
No, that's fine. I had all this lined up. No, but I agree. I think the first half. I think we played out to the back. I don't think we pressed high enough. I think we had some clear-cut chances. I don't think we were clinical enough. I think we just lacked that spark. And I don't know what more could have been done from it. As in, you know, from my preview, I wanted Martinelli in the starting 11 because I was just he adds that so much more creativity. You know, I just don't understand why. We brought him in and he's played absolutely brilliantly. No one was questioning him last year against Chelsea. You know, and now all of a sudden he gets a little knock. He's out for a couple of months, or a couple of weeks, and then now he just can't even get a game. You know, but Smith Rowe and Saka, it just doesn't make any sense.
Willian is playing before Martinelli. That's like you even calling Smith Rowe and Saka is a disrespect. Like Willian is getting games. Even times where Abba, like for me, Abba should not have started since that second leg Olympiacos. After how bad he was in that game, since then he should have chopped bench. For me. So, and in those moments, Martinelli should have been playing. Like the weekend's game, Martinelli should have played. Today, Martinelli should have started. I don't get it, man. Arteta is overusing certain players and underusing others. I don't know what the goal is here. I don't know.
Nah, I mean, one subject I want to touch on is it's a bit more in the group chat that what we've been on to, but it's holding. So first half, he I think was probably one of our best defenders.
He was exceptional in the
he counter-attacked, he pressed forward, he was high pressing, he was creating chances. He was run ragged that first half.
Actually, up until the 80th minute, he was the only one to have a shot on target.
Yeah.
Wow.
80 minutes, the centre half was the only guy to shoot on target. The chances that we had, even in a flat first half, I think it was a first half attempt at a holding shot.
Yeah.
He created a few chances.
Really. He did.
Possible forward as well.
I look like this holding thing.
We should have been up like at least 2 to 3-0 already that first half because the amount of chances that we created.
Finishing.
100%. In terms of holding in the first half, he created a few chances, but in terms of defensively, I don't think he had that much to do because they didn't really press us anyway. But definitely, it was a shock that he had the only shot on target up until the last few stages of the game. That's number one. Number two, like, even though Martinelli didn't start that first half, I believe we should have at least been 1-0 up in that first half, with or without Martinelli. Obviously, by half-time, we get a chance to restart and bring him on anyway. But we should have been 1, maybe 2-0 up in the first half anyway.
I reckon even 3-0, if I'm honest. With the amount of creativity we was producing, with the crosses, you know, we should at least been 3-0 up. You know, why having a talisman like I said up front, and yet he can't even, you know, finish. It's for me, it's mind blowing. But I'm gonna bring King into this. So King,
on Holding, I personally, the way I felt about Holding, and you know, in general, is if you look at all of his stats, like, you know, in turn, you know, I try not to look too deeply in them, try and test by the eye as well. But I mean, he's been consistent with, you know, tackles, shot interceptions, you know, aerial duels. There's a lot of things that he's done more than any other player, even though he's not necessarily started every game. The way I feel about Luis is he brings experience. However, he's not going to get any better at his age. I've seen Holding grow up a lot in this season. He's played most starts this season of any season. And I've seen him mature. But the thing about defenders in general, overall, is they peak at older ages. You know, you're talking like 28, 29, you know, up until their 30s when they start doing their best work. So the reality is with someone like Holding is you're going to crack a few eggs to make an omelette with him. Yeah, like same with Gabriel. It's the same thing. Yeah, and I honestly believe in the longer term, we're actually better off just bedding in those two and just saying, look, those two play now. Obviously, Louise is injured, so that's going to happen for a longer time. And just being like, look, do you know what? We haven't really got a great deal to play for this season. Let's give them the last 8 games together, not change that. You know, and just see what they can do. You know, like, I think Holding's got much better from the start of the season till now. So the way I see it, the more they play together, the better they're going to get together. For me, Louise and, you know, and to a lesser degree, but to the Xhaka, they both have the same thing where they can go 8, 9, 10 games and look like world beaters, and then out of nowhere, just, oh no, you know, like they just drop the ball, you know, like, and it's consistent. That's cycle.
Yeah, man, that's the cycle. That's the cycle all the time.
That cycle, you know, they rope us in, and it's like, yeah, they've turned the corner now, and then, you know, so I feel with Holding, you've got a player there who is only going to get better over time, but he's still a long way from, you know, sort of the end product of what we need. But I'm seeing him with game time getting better. I'm not seeing.
Yeah, he's definitely getting better for sure.
You know?
He's still the third best defender at Arsenal, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I would almost say for how long? You know, like, because as I said, you know, I don't really think anyone can or everyone can agree that we're not going to see Luis get much better, you know, with time. You know?
No, I'm with the whole getting like the partnership together, because we've not really seen that this season. And if we were going to get a partnership, I don't know, this might sound controversial, but as a two, Mari and Holding have looked better together than Holding and Gabriel. Like, literally, I don't know why that's worked out that way, but for some reason, when they played together, Mari and Holding, I don't know if they've lost together in a game they've started. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think they have either.
I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't lost.
But the thing is, with Mari, obviously, you know, he comes in when obviously there's injuries, but he doesn't get any kind of looking, like not in the league, not in the Europa League, or anything like that. He hasn't put a foot wrong this season.
Exactly. That's the thing with him. He looks super cool, like Rico Suave on the ball, like no one can touch me. Everything he does looks slick, like as a defender.
The one thing I would say is I think overall his game probably lacks a bit of pace, but in terms of like his ability to read the game,
Yeah, positioning, he's incredible. Though.
Positioning,
Well, that'll get better.
all
Okay,
that
I'm
jazz.
going to do a quick firing question to all three of you. So I'm going to start with Mike.
Ah,
So would you keep Holding in the starting 11 for the rest of the season?
well, you've got 4 centre halves, and really you can have a combination of 2s. Whether you want to go with a left footer and a right footer on each side, and how complicated you make that. But I definitely do think there is something in that Holding plays better with Mari.
Yeah.
I think that, and I also think that Gabriel plays better with Louise.
Yeah.
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 And because Louise didn't play, for me personally, I wouldn't have started with Gabriel. I would have liked to have seen Mari and Holding. If Louise can't play, that rules Gabriel out for me. And when I saw Gabriel and Holding, I thought there's not quite the synergy.
They've not clicked as much.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And although it didn't cost us, I don't think really. But when you're talking about, well, to answer your question, I would say Holding can play as long as he partners Mari. I don't like him partnering Gabriel. I can see him with Louise is okay, because Gabriel and Louise obviously are Brazilian, so they've got the same language. They can both speak Portuguese.
I think it also touches on the experience thing with the age, because like Holding and Gabriel are both younger.
Although Holding now is quite a seasoned professional. What is he now? About 26.
26, yeah.
So he's not as young as we think sometimes. But with injuries, he's perhaps not had the game time over the years.
Nigerian?
Yeah. To be honest, like I don't really care what we do in the league right now, if I'm honest with you. So in the league, I'm all for trying out things, innit? So in terms of every league game, if Holding starts, I'm 100% for it. But in the Europa League, I wouldn't mind to see Gabriel and Louise as our Europa League centre-back partnership, and Holding and Mari in the league, to be honest. And I just think that's one of the big mistakes Arteta's made this season in terms of his squad rotation. He just hasn't utilised it in the best way possible when everyone was fresh. Do you get what I'm saying? I believe there's games this season where without Saka, we could have probably got through with it, but he decided to play him again. There's other games like with Smith Rowe, for example, where I believe he played 2 games on the bounce. Give him a rest now just because he's just been embedded into the side, but he just thought play him. Like he does a lot of those things with our squad that I don't like, to be honest. But I don't want to get too much into Arteta tonight.
I think the main concern for me with is, like played a lot of football, watched a lot of football, and I'm sure you lot would agree, like you get managers that pick their first 11 and stick with them. You get managers that like to rotate, their system. But if you look at a hallmark of all the great teams, present and past, the one thing that is constant is your 2 centre backs. Yeah, and I think if you look at the level of rotation we have actually put in place with our centre backs, it's hard enough for I don't think Arteta knows his first 11, but to bring it back into the context of this defender conversation, it's hard enough, as we know, for any players to build any continuity or understanding of playing with each other when your partner is constantly changing. And I just think there are 2 areas on the pitch where that's a problem for me. That's the centre of midfield and the centre of defence. That's almost like your engine, your spine, yeah. And if that's constantly changing, one, what does that say about the quality of players that are in there that can't cement that place? And 2, how does that affect the rest of the team? Because if your spine isn't constant, like we spoke about, say, Mari and Holding, they've got completely different attributes. So if you're looking at how you build from the back, and your centre backs are always changing, then that's going to affect your transitions from defence to midfield or defence to attack. Because, Louise is the best passer of the ball from the back. Mari Gabriel and Holding less so. So it actually affects the balance of the rest of the team when that particular area keeps changing, and that's a big concern for me. Big concern.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think so far he's tried 34 players in different positions so far this season.
Tinkerman, as they're saying in the comment section. That's his new nickname. Tinkerman.
That's three first team 11s.
Yeah, no.
You could call it that, right?
But also, we've had a problem with injuries at the back, because when Murray signed and the other one, they both signed when they were injured or got injured pretty much straight away. Holding's been injured. I mean, we've all had injuries across the back, and at one time early in the season, or we started the season, I think, with something like 8 centre halves, and we didn't have 2 that we could play that were fully fit.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, he does tinker and he does rotate, but we have had some injury problems this season. It's not an excuse.
For sure. And I agree.
But I think that's why we can't get a partnership. This was the first game since the FA Cup final. I'm not just going to the forward line, but that's the first time that if we get Pepe, Oba, and I think Laka, that's the first time those 3 will be on the pitch together or close to starting a game since the FA Cup final. And there's £150 million worth of striker, and they're not playing together, whether it's form or because Pepe got dropped. And I think at the back as well, I don't think he's been able to pick his back line. And also, maybe you could even say we've gone from 3 to a 4 at the back. And then we might have different personnel that can play 3 in the back than 4 in the back.
Yeah.
And they've tried to get a left footer and a right footer synchronizing on both sides. So, I mean, it's great to be a manager when you're watching the game. It's never wrong,
for sure. But like, don't even like. I'm not having like. You lot all think I have an agenda against Arteta. I don't. But there's just too many weird decisions. Like, okay, you see that run we went on in the middle of the season where we won like 3 or 4 games back to back. Our defensive partnership was Mari and Holding during those games, isn't it? Obviously, I think Mari then got injured, which disrupted that stuff. I get that, and that's what Mike's talking about. Yeah. But then over the last few weeks, he's had the chance to kind of bring that partnership back for a few games. But instead, as you said, he's been like, I don't know how many times we've played the same centre-back partnership 2 games in a row. And even when we've had 4 centre-backs fit in the second half of the season, like I can't give him that, bruv. In certain situations, I agree we have had to rotate when we didn't want to, but there's times where he should have rotated or he should have held the same partnership that he hasn't.
In that same run as well from January, you know, like when we went on that bit of a streak, another player that was coming into his own again was Pepe. You know, I think if you
dropped him again.
If you look back to when Pepe was dropped, he wasn't really doing anything wrong. Now this is a player that we've spent a lot of money on. That's irrelevant. It's a player that people have been looking to for big performances and an impact in the team. And I think if we actually look at his whole Arsenal career from January until like, you know, I'd say like the end of February, the beginning of March, where he's probably doing his best work there.
Yeah,
and then he just took him out. You know, like and you know, I think he's brought him on today and he scored. And he'll probably not start him against Sheffield United. You know, it's just that for me was strange. And you know, to go back to what you said about Willian starting, you know, Nigerian, and thinking that I can't remember who it was you said that you thought should start there, but
Martinelli.
Martinelli. I actually feel Pepe should have started today. I know it's going to seem like I'm just saying that with hindsight because he came on and scored. But
bro, to be honest, I wouldn't have even minded that. But it's the Willian thing, and don't get me wrong. He's been good since he came. I think there was like the last few games he's played. He's been decent. He's had a few assists and stuff, but some of those assists can be deceiving in terms of how they came about. But still, assist is an assist. But I would have rather Pep. Actually, do you know what? I would have put Martinelli over Pepe, man. Like me, I'm not gonna lie. If you've watched my channel, me and Pepe have had a little bit of a weird relationship this season. Bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've backed him, then I've been against him. But as you said, Arteta at that time when Pepe was feeling a little bit confident in his game, Arteta shouldn't have dropped him because he's a confidence player, as we can see, man. He's the guy that needs an arm around his shoulder. He's that guy, innit? So that probably hit him hard, and he felt like he had to kind of press the reset button again. So let's get into the second half, man. I'm ready to unleash about the second half.
Before we get into the second half, let's get into the comments first. So, can I have King? Can you just what's your reaction to this comment for me, please?
Sack them all, the players. I mean, obviously, that's just it's not realistic, is it? Yeah, I think there's still players there that aren't, that I think probably Arteta doesn't have confidence in.
Who do you think should go, King? Who do you think should go in the summer?
We'll saving that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think basically we need to sort out continuity in the main areas of the spine. That's the main thing. But I think Willian for me is. I mean, he's got 7 assists this season, and from January he did turn it on a bit, but I just think he's been so pedestrian. Overall, considering the reputation he's come with, the cost, where the club he's come from in Chelsea and the work he's done there, I just that for me today his performance, that's the one. I don't like singling out players, by the way, but I mean, you've got less senior players in ESR and Saka on the pitch, and I just don't see what Willian brought to the table, in the time he was on the pitch. And I think that ties into the substitution I was waiting for in the 60th minute was Martinelli for him, and it came in the 72nd minute, and look at what those substitutions did, like that is where
the whole game.
That's where the impetus from the goal came from. So it only leads me to think what would have happened if they had that extra 10 minutes,
Yeah. So, Nigerian, this is for you.
Well, he's laughing at my intro, yeah. But that's how this team make me feel. They don't love me anymore, bro. They love me going through heartache and pain. Like, they love it, bro. Like, even the craziest thing is we might even still go through, but if we do, we love the pain. We love it. Like, when was the last time you watched an Arsenal game relaxed? Me and my guys were talking about it the other day. When was the last time you watched the Arsenal game like, let's just see what happens, innit?
It's got to that point where my missus, she closes the front room door and she locks herself in the bedroom.
Safest bet, bro. Safest bet.
She knows, man.
My wife's Scouser. So
it's been a rough week, man. It's been a rough week for you, bro.
Mine's a United fan.
Yeah. So
mine's an Arsenal fan by default, so she can't even try me.
So I've had it.
Yeah.
So, go on, Mike. Sorry.
I was going to say I agree with the Willian stuff, but I wasn't too bothered with Willian starting tonight because we want him to score, and he has, like say, quite a few assists already this season, and we want to score goals. We've got the young lads who we expected to turn it on. So I could live with Willian. And with regard to the substitutes, I think you've got to give, if you pick a team that you think is going to win the game, you've got to give them a certain amount of time to carry out your tactics and win the game. But at some point, if it's not working, you've got to be able to react to the situation and then bring somebody on. And what you've got to do, and I think what we've got to be careful of saying is, you bring your substitutes on to make an impact to the game, which they did tonight, without a doubt. Whether those players would have made the difference from the beginning is, well, it's an argument we'll never know. But I think then it comes down to the timing. Personally, I'm a 60-minute substitute man rather than Wenger. I think used to be about 80 minutes. Arteta's probably around about 75. You know, you want your subs to make an impact, but you've got to give them enough time to make an impact. And like you say, I think 72 minutes for Martinelli was just a little bit too late. Where 60 minutes, give the team you think is going to win the game an hour, and if it's not working, change it. Get your impact players on for half an hour.
Nigerian, do you agree with this?
100%, man. I don't know why it took so long for them to do this substitute. Like, I thought Martinelli would come on from half time. If I'm honest, I don't know why he's so scared to make those decisions. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't miss Unai Emery, but that guy, come half time, he's switching it up, bro. Like, he's getting in the players' spaces. We come out a different team in the second half. The whole of his first season, it was a madness. Obviously, he tinkered a little bit too much in the end, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't get why managers wait all 70, 80 minutes to make it. Like, you can see this team didn't work in the first half. I know we had some chances, but it didn't predominantly work. We weren't cutting edge enough to change it up. Like, you've got 5 substitutions in the Europa League as well. Like, I don't understand. Why are you waiting?
You use 4 as well.
Use 4 of them. Like, you have, like, why wait till the end? You can try something different. You can even sub off a sub if you want to, bro. Like, take advantage of having 5 substitutions. I don't care what you do. Keep trying. You got a big squad of you, and then anyway, don't. This guy gets me mad. He's lost the plot, man. I'm saying this work experience he's doing at Arsenal Football Club needs to stop. Do you know what the worst thing about Arteta is he's actually going to be a good manager, but it's the team he manages after us that can reap the benefits of it. That's the weirdest thing about it. He's making all his mistakes at our club. He's going to learn. He's going to gel it a little bit more, and then make an impact at another club. Watch, maybe even Barcelona. It's going to piss me off.
Or PSG.
So, King, do you agree to this comment that Arteta has turned into a Tinkerman?
He is. You know, he comes from the Spanish kind of school of thought where that is quite common. You look at like the continental style in Spain and Portugal. You look at someone like Mourinho. Mourinho might not necessarily play his best 11, but he will analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the opponent. And the lineup would be to negate their strengths and to play to their own, which works. But what Mourinho would do first is he would be like, okay, if it doesn't matter if I'm playing against weakened opposition, who are my best 11? Yeah, who are my best 11? And I'm going with them. And then if I have come up against a Barca and I have to play, Azpilicueta as a left back, on the right hand side or something, so that when Messi cuts in, he's on his stronger foot to make the tackle. He used to do that a lot against Barcelona, like little tinker things like that. That works, but fundamentally, Mourinho would know this is my best team, and I think I don't so much blame Arteta entirely for that, because I think we got rid of 8 players this season. So there's a lot of dead wood that you had to get rid of before you can really bring in anyone. He got told it was an either or situation between Partey and Auer, when someone like United would have just got both of them and said, worry about getting rid of the other players later. So my thing with Arteta is, who put him there in the first place? When there were experienced managers, Tuchel going to Chelsea, Ancelotti, we spoke to him before and after Emery got sacked. And why didn't he come? 1, because of the salary we offered him, and 2, because of the resources we offered him to do his job were paltry. He laughed at it. Rodgers has come out and gone on record, Brendan Rodgers, and said it is a dream of his to manage Arsenal Football Club. And why isn't he at Arsenal Football Club? Because
never went for him.
We never went for him. But if we did, again, if what we offered Ancelotti made Ancelotti laugh, what's it going to do to Brendan Rodgers, who at the time was more proven in the Premier League?
To be honest, like I can give you the Ancelotti one because my guy's got Champions Leagues in his belt. Brendan Rodgers got some Scottish Cups, mate. Sorry, bro. He can't.
No, but
He
the thing
can't come on a hype to us, man. I still
win-
think we
to win
can.
a
We
league-
as a club, we've got enough to attract Brendan Rodgers to say yes to us. Like I don't care what anyone says.
I-
Ancelotti,
I
maybe.
agree.
Yeah, from the club's perspective, I agree totally. But the thing is, what happens is when we speak to these managers behind closed doors, when Wenger retired, Emery got given 40 million, yeah, in that window to make transfers. Yeah, like we're talking like the squad overhaul we needed dates back to that time when Wenger left. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're talking about replacing our best manager in our history for 22 years, going into that window and giving the guy that is taking over from him 40 million. Yeah,
Now, that is a piss take for sure.
you're not giving people the tools to do their work, and this is, you're going to have the same outcome. And my thing with Arteta is, I agree with what you're saying. Like he's making all of his mistakes here, but let's look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah, right.
Oh,
He's
mate.
made. Oh, no, wait.
I'm a hustler, baby. The number one hustler in football, bro. Number one hustler in football.
Ole's made all his mistakes, yeah, at United. He's got a bit more experience. He made a lot of mistakes at Cardiff as well, yeah. But they bought one player in the January window that has made all the difference to them, and that's Bruno Fernandes, yeah. If you go and you back a manager, yeah, and if you give them what they need to do their work, then suddenly Ole's job becomes easier. And who got on the score sheet tonight?
Like, Brezzy, please let me respond to this, please, before we continue. Like, because he has good, you definitely got great points, yeah. So in terms of Ole, already Ole's going into a much better squad than us. Innit? Like, let's be honest. He already had game changers in the squad. Don't get me wrong. What's his name? Fernandez came in with the Cantona effect, like just made everyone raise their game, getting in people's faces, even tracking back when he wanted to, yeah. But you see Arteta, yeah. Oh, that guy, bro. This guy, he's like, are you telling me Brendan Rodgers couldn't do more with this squad than Arteta? Like, are you saying we're the 11th best squad in the Premier League, bro? 11. That's my issue. I'm not saying that he's been backed, yeah. But there's like certain decisions like this. Look, this is for me. This is where he started off the season wrong. If you're gonna do that, I didn't want to talk about him for the rest of the season because he's not at our club anymore. But Ozil, yeah, if you weren't gonna play Ozil, then what? Did Smith Rowe just come in January or something? I don't understand. You put him in from the start of the season, or you have another number 10. We could see back end of last season we were struggling to create because we didn't have a number 10. The reason why we won the FA Cup is because Aubameyang was next to perfect in front of goal. And that's not something that he can maintain for his career. Do you get what I'm saying? And he didn't fix that. Like, do you get like I hear what you're saying in terms of he hasn't been backed for sure. Our managers haven't been backed. But with what they've been given, I'm saying they could have done a lot more. 100%.
Yeah.
Cedric should have been starting as our number one right back since like long time. Bellerin, he's gone, he's done. Do you get what I'm saying? Things like that.
But the thing is, like, if you look back at the number 10 thing, he identified Auer as the player he wanted.
That's right, yeah.
And he weren't given the money to get him.
Well, it was Edu that wanted to bring Party in.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
cool.
and
he's right. He's right. He didn't get the money to get Auer for sure. But then don't not play with a number 10, bro. Like, you play Ozil, you have to until he's not at the club, or you have someone better that comes in. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you have to play him. No, like, even though I'm not saying he was the complete answer, but he's a number 10. Aubameyang does not get chances if there's not a number 10. He doesn't get enough chances, should I say, if there's not a number 10 feeding him the ball. Do you get what I'm saying? And Aubameyang should never see the left wing ever again as well. Like,
I think the bigger problem is what Arteta is doing there in the first place than Arteta being there now. Like, Arteta can only be so accountable now because he is inexperienced. Like, to answer your question, Rodgers would absolutely get more out of this squad, but then why aren't the board putting someone like that there in the first place? I mean, we are a big club and we've brought someone in and allowed them to cut their teeth in a managerial role. And what has dictated that is Arteta being a yes man, being someone that would be offered this small transfer budget and that would be like, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. He's not.
He's not a challenger. He's not going to challenge the board at all.
Precisely. So
That's what they
I
love.
think
They love that.
that's where the problem is.
All right.
No, it's the font case. That's where it is.
All right.
It's
Let's do
right there.
rapid fire for these comments because there's quite a few coming through.
Yeah,
So,
Sam Spurs for life, man. What was the Spurs score tonight, Sam? What was the Spurs score in the Euro? What was the Spurs score, Sam? Talk to me, bro. All right, relax there, mate.
Yeah.
okay. Next one. So as I said into a thinking man,
Yeah.
it's not good for the starting 11 and definitely does not know his starting 11.
I'd completely agree with that. You know, I think, yeah, I really think, yeah, like too much change and change for change's sake can be just difficult to build any kind of rhythm on. And yeah, I particularly feel strongly about that core area, centre of midfield and defence. Just shouldn't change so much for me.
Mike, do you agree?
I think, yeah, I think he's developing almost a League 11 and a Cup 11.
Mm.
And
Kind of, yeah.
also, I still think he's influenced in Pep used to, I think, look at the opposition and see where he was gonna, or his 11 would make an impact depending on who they were playing and the style of football. And I think Arteta seems to have brought that with him. First, as I mentioned, he played 4 at the back and 3, and he didn't really know. And the players, I think, were a bit struggling with tinkering with personnel, but also with some of the formations. Now I think he's got his formation, but I'm not sure he's got a 11 or a first team. That in the olden days you had 11 and your team was the same every week, and those were the days when you played Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. And there was no tinkering done. You had your 11 players, and that was it. Whereas now, I feel that some of the mistakes are coming from. He's got 2 different squads, and they're not interchangeable. And then maybe coupled with a few injuries, Kieran Tierney seems to be I keep thinking of Jack Wilshere. Every time he makes progress, he has to take a step back, that kind of thing. So I don't think he does know he's 11.
Okay.
This guy, bro. Arteta still plays Aubameyang on the left, bro. Like we've seen this is not working. He still plays Aubameyang on the left, bro.
He's
Like, come on.
He's,
Why is he still? Why is he
played him
doing
on
it?
the
though?
left, and then he started playing him through the middle. But then suddenly now he's gone back to the old experiment of putting him back on the left.
I don't
He
get it.
played
Bro.
him through the middle. No, I don't get it either.
It's just weird,
But
bro. Like,
he's
Sorry, go
gone
on.
back to that.
bringing
going
on Travis
backwards.
Scott, bro.
Sorry, a
Travis
few
Scott.
more comments. So, Nigerian?
Yeah, Travis Scott looks like he's struggling still. Why is he captain? Sam Spurs for life. That is a big question. I said this in the group chat recently. I said, our captaincy has been disrespected since Vieira. I know this might sound controversial. I'm going that far back. Since Vieira. After Vieira, all we kept doing for a little bit was just giving it to our best player. Not our best leader, our best player in the side. That's what we started doing. We gave it to Henry, gave it to Fabregas, gave it to Van Persie. I said maybe Van Malen probably was the best leader at the time, which was quite depressing, but I'll give him that. But other than that, like, we've just been putting jokers. I think at some point this season, guys, if I tell you this name, you'll be shocked. Mustafi has had the captain's armband on his arm this season. This freaking season. Like, this armband thing doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, that's what they're saying to me.
Emery
So
did that, though.
Yeah, for sure. Like, Emery disrespected it by saying the players should vote for the captain. Like, what are you talking about, bro? When has that ever been a thing? Imagine going Sunday League and your manager says,
5.
like, vote for your for your captain. Like, what? You pick the captain, coach. We need to know who you back as the leader, not who we back. You tell us.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So I think personally,
I think as well. Yeah.
Sorry. Let me just
carry on.
personally, I think the captaincy should be stripped. I would have loved it to be Tierney, but we just can't rely on him enough, like in terms of his injuries. So I think till the end of the season, it should either be Laka or Leno. Even though Leno makes a bag of mistakes, he still sees the whole game and he shouts. I know, Mike, I know what you mean. But in terms of what we've got, like, who else do we pick? We can't pick Partey. He's not ready. We can't. I definitely don't want Xhaka. I'm even still upset he even put an Arsenal shirt on again after what he did at Palace. So, like, we can't go there. We definitely can't say Bellerin. Like, we're not going to give Saka the armband, are we? So who do we have? It's Leno. He at least sees the whole game, and he at least shouts at players, at least. Or
How
Laka.
can he influence the game from between the sticks, though?
He can't, but at least he can get in players' faces and like shout at them from the back. Better than Aubameyang. Wait, would you say he's a worse leader than Aubameyang? Nah, Mike. Why are you thinking I'm so
I wouldn't play some. I just don't like goalkeepers at the back. If I look back at our great captains, Frank McClintock and Tony Adams,
yeah,
they were both centre halves. Or Patrick Vieira was a midfield player. They could.
I want this too. I want that. I would want that, but at least to the end of the season, I think that's...
I'd rather Xhaka be captain.
Nah, bro, like no one gets to throw the shirt on the floor and be a captain again. He threw the Arsenal shirt on the floor, bro, and swore at the fans. He can't be our captain again. He can't.
Xhaka thing's another concept for another day, guys.
I think for sure. What I really like is a point that Mike touched on there about goalkeepers being captains. I disagree, but I do have a thing as well. Like what I've talked about with the spine, and like McClintock and Adams, as you talked about with centre halves. For me, I feel like it's imperative that someone's got to be in the middle of the pitch. So either centre halves or centre mids are the ideal
for me. I agree with that.
Or leadership, because they're in the middle, they can see everything. Like they can dictate that way and that way. For me, a striker being a captain, I've never been a fan of, and I played a striker.
I agree.
I would give up the armband, just because I'm like, the thing is as well. The sort of striker Aubameyang's not playing with his back to goal, so he's not facing the other players. Aubameyang's playing off the shoulder and looking to face forward. So how can he direct play behind him? That's one thing. Yeah. Now another thing is a good player isn't necessarily a good captain, as we know. Yeah. I don't know if anyone saw half time of the Champions League semi-final when Barcelona got beat by Bayern last season, right? They were like 3-4-0 down at half time. I don't know if you've seen the clips of Messi in the changing room. His head was on the ground. He had all his players walking past him. He had his own players coming up to him, trying to console him. He had his own coaching staff coming up to him, trying to console him. Messi's a good player. He's not a leader.
He's not a leader.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And the thing is, if you try and give these players the responsibility of both, they'll do neither.
Yeah, thank you. Let Abba focus on hitting the back of the net, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, we agree on that.
That's when he was at his best.
I think that's why Lloris is captain of Tottenham quite a lot instead of Kane, because it's like, even though Kane is a natural leader in that team, it's like, let's just let him do what he does best. Yeah,
for sure.
Let's take that pressure away from him, and Kane can play with his back to goal, but more often than not, he's doing his best work facing it, right? So give it to Lloris or someone.
So Mike, I'm with you in terms of, I understand, like, I don't want to give it to anyone else, but because of, I can't let Xhaka captain our club again. Bellerin wants that as well, but like just what we've got, at least to the end of the season, and then we can start afresh end of the season, and maybe we can go with Tierney to start afresh. But it's just what we've got.
We've got to pick captains out of the personnel that we've got, though, haven't we?
Yeah, literally.
And the best leader, to me, one, it's got to come from the midfield. I agree, it's the forward line or in goals. So who've we got that'll, you can't have Partey or El Neni or all the other people. I just think have Xhaka, and then maybe at the end of the season when you change personnel, because at the end of the day, you've got to have somebody. If you watch Xhaka, he's forever talking. It'll be interesting if we do the player cam, like
on Xhaka. No, I can imagine. And to be honest, if he didn't do that thing, I'll be okay. But like, you don't disrespect the badge like that, man. Like, I can't look past that, man. I know what you mean.
He's spent his sentence. He's got a lot of abuse, and so does his family. And now, you know, it's in the past. It's done. And since then, he's actually been in his Arsenal form of his life, maybe, because
Definitely,
we missed him. We're missing him. That's
how bad we are. We're missing.
Okay.
So,
right. So rapid fire for the questions. Nigerian, because we've got quite a lot to go through now.
50-50 next week against. Like, look, yeah, I'm not ruling out anything next week because it's Arsenal at the end of the day, innit? So 50-50 next week for sure. And the craziest thing about tonight is 0-0 ended up being a better score. Like, that's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Abba and Laka don't work together. Yep, Fear of Black is spot on. Those two should never start a game together again. If we're chasing the game, we need to go have them all throwing some strikers on the pitch. I'm all for that. But Abba and Laka together should never start another game for Arsenal together. Personally. Pep 0. Sam Spurs for life. Like forget this Arteta out thing. I'm not even gonna touch on it because he's not gonna leave for at least another year. So I've just accepted the next year. We've got him next season, so I'm just gonna back the guy and just hope for the best, mate.
Yeah. Well done.
It's really for me. I think Kroenke is the guy that's got to back him. Yeah, like I think Kroenke put him there, so Kroenke's got to back him. You know, like. You know, we go back to that. I don't want to make this a United show, but if we look at United, the changing point for Oli was Bruno. Yeah. And, you know, Partey was a step in the right direction, but we could see we needed a number 10. Now, Kroenke made him choose. Yeah. So some of that consequence, of the form after that and the lack of creativity between September and up until January has to go to Arteta for not picking ESR sooner, but also it has to go to Kroenke for giving him a knife to go to a gunfight. Yeah, but by not giving him the players he needed. And
you're so generous, man.
It's too early to judge Arteta, right? It's too early to judge Arteta when he's had to get rid of 8 players just to bring in 1. Yeah, and if you look at the players he got rid of, a lot of them were playing first team football last season. So, you know, I think, yes, Arteta gets a lot of decisions wrong. And yeah, he needs to make decisions. But I think by the same token, Kroenke put him in that position to make decisions in the first place. So if he did, you know, if you're giving a less experienced manager the job, then you have to give them almost more than what you would consider giving an experienced manager. And what he's given him, in January was a loan signing for Odegaard, you know, and, you know, a bit of money here and there, you know, to buy Gabriel and Partey. We got Partey on deadline day after we had got rid of as many people as we could do. So you can see what that says is the board were basically saying, you've got to get rid of these players before we give you the green light for this transfer. Otherwise, we would have just done it at the beginning of the window, right? So there's a lot of things that Arteta I can see is dealing with behind closed doors that he needs to be given a bit of credit for, you know, like without saying I'm 100% with him. I'm saying like these are problems that even an experienced manager would struggle to deal with.
For sure, but an experienced manager would be in a better league position than Arteta, though. Yeah, regardless of all that stuff, and you're right.
The reason they would be there is because they would be experienced, and the board
goes back to your point. He shouldn't have been appointed in the first place. Yeah.
So I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's almost like.
But he's there, bro. We can't just say, no, he's there, bro. Like, I know an experienced manager would have made a bit, but he's there. Come on, like I can't keep letting him off because he's not experienced, bro.
But I mean. You know, like
He decided to come to Arsenal Football Club. It's a big job. It's a big job. Like, do you know what I'm saying? If you're not ready, don't take it.
Yeah,
I
but
saw what happened with
the
Lampard.
money helped though.
What?
So I think the money helped though.
Money definitely helps. Don't get me wrong, but check this out. There's a couple of decisions that he could have done better. Go on.
I was going to say, I think we need to look elsewhere than it's easy for us as a fan base to blame the Cronkies, and I've been Cronky out for years.
Very much.
But I've got to accept that he, over the last few years, has backed his managers. He spent 75 million on Pepe. He spent 40 odd million on, you can go back as far back as Laka, Uber. We've had money. How much have we spent over the last couple of transfers? It's been over 100 million. It's down exactly. So it's the recruitment. We say we want the recruitment.
There's players that should be at our club that we've just let go to other clubs. Yeah, like Sionku was linked to Arsenal. He ends up going to Leicester.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Kante was available for 30 million. We end up signing Xhaka for 35 million. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Suarez is on a free this summer, and no one even bids for him. Cavani, don't think Cavani will do bits at Arsenal? The amount of chances we create. Like, it's little, like, I'm not saying that's the players I want, but we just do nonsense.
The thing with Pepe as well, is he did cost a lot of money, but we could have got Zaha at the same time. And the reason we got Pepe instead of Zaha is because we had to pay less money up front to get Pepe.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Now, name the last time we went to market and bought an established Premier League player. I will wait. And why is that?
Because they're too dear and overpriced.
Why do we? I'm with you, bro. There's players that we can afford that we don't even buy, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? There's players we can afford we don't even buy, man. We're just not. Look at Leicester's recruitment compared to Arsenal's recruitment. They're not spending big money on anyone. They're not buying established guys. There's guys doing bits at Leicester, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
Transfer snobbery.
There's one decision that Arteta did that pissed. You see Guendouzi, yeah? You see Guendouzi. I'm telling you now, a midfield of Partey, Guendouzi, and Smith Rowe looks a lot sexier than what we've got right now. If we started the season that way, guess what would happen? Partey would do what we bought him to the club to do: protect the back four. We have seen Partey do dribbling, taking on players, nuts like that's not Partey's game. That's not what none of us were expecting that from Partey when he came to Arsenal. What he's been doing at our club is because we do not have a box-to-box midfielder. Xhaka can't go box-to-box, so Partey has to do the thing. If Guendouzi was there, he'd do the box-to-box stuff while Partey could sit. And the reason why Guendouzi's not there is because an inexperienced manager like Arteta didn't know how to manage a 19-year-old kid that made a mistake. He made a freaking mistake. Kids make those mistakes. Do you get what I'm saying? And for me, Guendouzi, I liked him. And the reason I liked him is he's the only player in our squad that had any sort of personality, bro. Like, he might have, like, that Brighton stuff that he did was not on.
But he made a lot of mistakes.
Like, who? Guendouzi? Or Arteta?
Yeah. I mean,
bruv, he's a 19-year-old kid, mate. Like, they're gonna make mistakes, man. You put your arm around him, and
all I'm saying is
make things happen. Ferguson would have been able to deal with that guy, bro.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna have to start wrapping things up because we're way over.
Oh yeah,
time.
We ain't even got into that dead second half yet, mate.
So I'm gonna have to go through match predictions. As in, what do you think of the game? So I'm gonna start with King.
– Sorry, match predictions for.
What do you mean match predictions or?
Sorry, I mean match predictions. Sorry.
Absolutely. For.
All right. So how do you feel the game went
for the next game?
No, for this game.
I feel.
How do you feel it ended?
I feel I think the thing is, the really annoying thing is, it's 14 games that we've gone without a clean sheet. So I feel like in this game, and if you look at Liverpool, for 65 minutes, 70 minutes, we defended really well. And then for this game, it was like 91, 2 minutes, and then just one mistake. changes everything. So I think that took away from what otherwise was an okay game. I think we weren't clinical enough, which is a big problem. I think that was like probably the major problem. Yeah, but I mean, I would say for large parts we controlled the game at the same time.
Mike?
I think we control the game partly because Slavia Prague allowed us to control the game. They came to, I think, because they're at home in the second leg, they have got, if they come and keep a clean sheet, it's party time for them. And we didn't press, as we said earlier. So we didn't make them panic until the last 10 minutes. As soon as we did press and we had the substitutes that made an impact, I remember noting that their defenders were getting and booting it upfield. They weren't looking to play out from the back. The keepers were taking bigger kicks because they knew the last 10 minutes it was going to be hectic because Arsenal were playing for the last 10 minutes. So the game went according to plan, more to Slavia than it did to us. We got the substitutes, they made the impact, we scored, and then we did the typical Arsenal thing of not concentrating and not managing the last 10 minutes of the game. I mean, the only time I can think back in recent times that we've managed the game at the end was Spurs. They threw the kitchen sink and we defended like 10, 11 heroes. But how many times have we let goals in? You can think back to Olympiacos of last year, the lack of concentration, thinking the job's done, but we should have been miles ahead. How many times we said that? By the time we get into the last 5 minutes, we should be 3 or 4 goals up. Game management and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it's just poor.
Okay. Nigerian, your reaction?
Well, boy, the game for me was abysmal. Up until the subs came on, like even though we were on top of the game, we didn't really take control. If that makes sense, we didn't really step it up and bring it to them.
Too slow.
So 100%. And you saw the difference when the subs came on. We were like a different team. We looked hungry again. We looked sharp. We were pressing, like we were creating chances, making them nervous, and we score. Like this is what I'm saying. I would have said this game's ending 0-0 before the subs came on. They come on, I'm thinking, oh, we might even nick one. We end up nicking one. I'm thinking, boy, finally, Pepe's got his moment in an Arsenal shirt. But no, Gabriel robbed him of that. And the reason I say Gabriel is because if you see, just before we concede the goal, there's an altercation between, I think there's a situation with Gabriel and maybe Cedric on the in the left corner where Gabriel literally just kick it forward, bro. Kick it forward. Like, just hoof it somewhere. He ends up trying to pass it to Cedric. Cedric messes it up, ends up to them having a shot on goal. They get the corner that leads to the equalizer. So, look, I think it would have been a snatch and grab if we won 1-0, and it would have been a great result. I would have been celebrating. But the fact that we conceded that late goal, I'm not positive going into the next game. But do I think we can score there? Of course I do. And do we want to stick it to racist FC? Of course I do. But boy, 100%. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see.
They haven't lost a game at home all season. That's what.
And guess what? Again, just to close.
Okay, all right, guys.
Well, just to close, just to say, this guy, you know, we're the headline team. The guy that scored the equalizer. Tell me it wasn't his first goal for the club. Of course it was. Of course it was.
Yeah, of course
it freaking was.
So it's typical Arsenal. Typical Arsenal. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I think that's time for us then, guys. So thank you everyone for tuning into FTB Sports, and there'll be another show coming very, very soon. So take care, guys.
Take care. Good night.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on again, yeah.